Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. First, let me thank my district of Lambo Lowlands, which includes a piece of Signan Hill, Canby, Canube, and a little piece of Canaan, for the opportunity to represent that district and by extension Tobago to serve in this honorable house. Madam Presiding Officer, every time we come here to go through this exercise is a bit, I stand with a heavy heart. I tell you the honest truth. You know why it's frustrating? Because talking with people as we traverse our daily lives, I'm of the understanding that a lot of people just doesn't, something keep escaping a big part of the public. That when the Chief Secretary come here and spend 3.5 hours delivering a proposed budget for Tobago, the success of anything that is said in that statement depends on what we get from the central government. So he simply says that I can give you this if I get this. And in other words, we never really get the this. So we can never really give you the that to the fullest extent that we would like to deliver. So I came here with a speech all well written and all the things we would like to do, but really, is it relevant? I much prefer to come here when the allocation is given to Tobago to say what we're going to do with what we get. Because too much at times people hold you at your first word, forgetting that it is not up to you and that word is not final. It's sort of like they say the first impression lasts. People hear the first thing you tell them. You come and you say, I'm going to deliver 10 community centers in this new fiscal. But everybody forget the part that if I get what I'm asking for, this will be possible. And we have a duty to keep ringing it out for the public to understand that the things we propose in that initial statement could only be possible if we get what we ask for. This period of the term that went so far, of our 4-year term, which I must say is the first of many to come. We have had no shortage of challenges. But Madam Presiding Officer, take one moment to stop and ask yourself, why were there so many challenges in the first place? Why we have to be fixers instead of just getting on the progressive path and just move Tobago further forward? It means that in many ways that we were sadly lacking at the back in many instances in trying to create a better Tobago. Well, I'm not sure if those who went before had that in mind, creating a better Tobago. Because sometimes you listen to the other side. And be it the past regime, this regime, or any regime to come, nobody gets it all right. That I could admit to. But 21 years is a long time to be still stumbling and trying to measure it with 2 years. We could sit here and talk about all the things that went wrong before. I don't think we need to be repeating them every day. People have eyes and they are seen. And people could understand when relief is on the way and when relief is actually taking place. People could understand that a large portion of our society was earning under $100 a day. namely CPEP, URP. And those same people could understand that it was this regime in this short period of time that raised that living wage to a place where they could breathe a little easier, where they could get their maternity leave. Must see that why Tobago birth rate was so low, people they frightened to take time to make baby. Because you ain't sure what will happen when you go off to make your baby and come back. So let me look now and measure from now to the next fiscal and see if the birth rate go raise, and we're going to know it's one of the things that was keeping it down. Well, I didn't say that. Madam Presiding Officer, let me just fast track a little to the Clarke Beach facility. And let me just as how other people see it fit to ring out negatives, let me stand here and ring out positive. We was able to deliver a world-class facility in Tobago by Tobago people in less than 2 months, I should say. Where we hosted that aspect of the Commonwealth Games, Commonwealth Youth Games. And may I say, we didn't stop there. We hosted other tournaments. Recently, just over about a month and a half ago, we had Junior World Cup qualifiers in beach volleyball. And I know the minority wasn't present, but so it's my duty to tell him what went on while he wasn't there. Good things, though. Every one of the coaches of the 12 participating countries came to me, shake my hand, and said, oh, let nobody let believe, Lester Ball said, this facility is world class. This facility is the best in this part of the world. And we look forward to coming back here, to working with your people, your coaches, the various organizations to develop beach sports. We need to understand sometimes that running off and building a facility is one thing. But in building a facility, more so a world-class facility, you build it with a plan in mind. We often talk a lot about tourism, Madam Presiding Officer. Tourism linked with sports, namely sport tourism, has proven that that is one of the most rewarding aspects of tourism. Because the studies show that sports people traveling spend more. So that should be one of the areas that we should be interested in and trying to build capacity there where we could encourage that kind of tourism on our island. Madam Presiding Officer, in the recently concluded Commonwealth Youth Games, may I report to this House and to Tobago that every single event that took place in Tobago was a resounding success. Everyone. The Clarke speaks for itself. We did an upgrade in Shaw Park. That's the recreation ground. We redid the dressing rooms. We do over the surface, the field, do some work on the fencing. We just did a total upliftment on it. And after the Commonwealth Games, a number of tournaments were hosted there. And everybody gave the same review, that this is indeed a facility that we should be proud of. Go to the cultural complex or the Shaw Park complex, whichever you want to call it, the big building that represents the biggest spend in Tobago history. People call me all over to ask me, Madam Presiding Officer, when I look at that floor, I say I must give credit to the past administration. We didn't get it. The past administration purchased that floor but also the past administration saw it fit to prevent Tobago from using that floor and had it locked up in a room for nearly 10 years.
Wow, this is zip line?
Well, we find the floor, we didn't find the zip line. Madam Presiding Officer, in a time when we're talking about youth and sports and promoting youth and promoting sport, to have a fine piece of equipment like that locked away, isn't that a measure of cruelty?
Of course.
I ain't blaming the minority for that, but I'm just blaming the umbrella which you stand under. If your umbrella has a hole, you're going to get wet. Nearly 10 years, Madam Presiding Officer, and we took out that floor, put it down. When you sit in netball, playing on it, and we had basketball tournament after, and people think it's a new floor, it was there all the time. Whoever brought it there didn't see it fit to use it. We not only gonna try to upgrade sporting facilities and other sport-related things on the island. Madam Presiding Officer, it's a big concern, a very big concern, to know that a lot of our sportsmen, like the minority leader was talking about the bright talents that we had, we have to go and work with these people, encourage them, and teach them financial literacy, because too much of our sportsmen, 2 days after they stop compete, they're scrunting. We have to give them that support, that they could sustain themselves with what they earn, instead of coming back to the THA and showing them your hand palm. These are people should have been providing in terms of what they went out there and do the expertise to offer it back to the youths, that they could have a chance to go out and even go further than them. I heard the minority talk about difficulty to get to Tobago. I don't want to quote him wrong, Yeah, it's difficult to come to Tobago, and he mentioned some other things, but the THA and own Cal? No. We're talking about access to Tobago. THA and own Cal? That's an easy fix. Yeah, don't watch me, I ain't get amnesia. I know exactly what I was saying. I hear you. You can go and play it back if you want. He was talking about difficulty to come to Tobago. It's difficult to come to Tobago only because you can't get a flight. Who is responsible for that? On another note, we talk about foreign exchange and all that. Who in their right mind, Madam Presiding Officer, said that you have such a dire need for foreign exchange? Little Tobago has a perfect platform where you could earn that foreign exchange from, and you continue up to this day, nearly 3 years in this administration lifetime, to deny Studley Park a license. You give me a word for that, I don't want to say it. Look, the Secretary for Infrastructure, you got the license yet for Studley Park? You're waiting, and 3 years gone. In many instances, Madam Presiding Officer, in the Tobago space, we could come and talk about all the nice things. We could come and talk about all the things we would like to do. It simply stems back to saying, we will do this if we get this. There's no other way that could be possible. And I really need for the people at Tobago to understand that, because in many instances, people take you on your first word, which was the statement the Chief Secretary delivered on Monday, not understanding at times that Tobago never really get what it asks for. So we could never do what we set out to do. We also talk about They must see the right drop out of school quick. They try to fool me with percentage. If the Dispute Resolution Commission say you could get between 4.03 and 6.9, why I have to agree to pass a paper to get 6.8? Are stupid? That the workers stupid people.
It's not true. It's not true.
How you could let me believe that you're willing to give me more if you never give me what they know?
So true. That's stupid, right?
Well, I know what you call it. So, Madam Presiding Officer, it is easy, very easy to come here and talk about all the nice things we're going to like to do, all the nice things we propose. But the reality is that if the releases don't come the way we anticipate it or the way we peg this statement, the budget, it's really impossible. And people continue to hold you on what you present that first day, not knowing or not understanding that because you ask for 10 to do 10 projects, you get 5. Might only be able to do 5. So Tobago development is always hindered by a part that you can't predict where you're going to get, but you just have to measure for the lower half. How much years now that Dispute Resolution Committee ruling was made?
23 years now.
If in 23 years you ain't give me in the upper half, I ain't kind of insane to be coming every time asking. Just tell me what percentage I gonna get, and then we go work on that. It seems more sensible. It seems very much more sensible. In closing, Madam Presiding Officer, I wouldn't be long here because I tell you, as much as I come to present this, it really with a heavy heart. And I much prefer, when we know what is what, that we could come back in the realignment and actually say what is possible and what we could do. Because we will stay here and propose all the time, raising the expectation of the Tobago public, not understanding that it wasn't possible because you didn't get what you asked for. In winding up, Dr. Jeff Davison in his book talk about Tobago was at odds with Trinidad between 1900 and 1925 because Tobago felt it wasn't treated properly. It wasn't being treated fairly. You use 1900, 100 years passed. You use 1925, next year going to be 100 years. If in 100 years in progressing one particular way, nothing can change, I'm very unsure. Right? I'm not sure at all that going along the same way could bring any different result. Sitting, pleading, asking, I'm not sure anything will change. In my mind, Tobago's real enemy reside in Port of Spain. Tobago's real enemy, Madam Presiding Officer, is the PNM.
Yes.
And like anybody else, elections come and elections go. People have their choices to make. But if you want progress in the Tobago space, if you want this little island to go forward, if you want this little island to have a chance of becoming the greatest little island on the planet, the road you take in 2021, the 6th of December, hold that road and progress is possible. Stay with the change. Keep the people that you voted out, keep them out, and Tobago will stand a chance to succeed.
Amen.
Madam Presiding Officer, I thank you for this opportunity to... Well, the good thing about ironing red, so I just thought the truth. Let me turn off the light red. thank you for the opportunity, Madam Presiding Officer.
Honourable members, it is now 4:27 p.m. According to Standing Order 16-2, at 4:30 the presiding officer shall suspend the sitting and order it to be resumed at 5 p.m. I am posing the question to all members. Are we going to sit through until we complete the order of business, or are we going to suspend within the next 3 minutes? All in favor for sitting through until the business of the House is dispensed with, say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. We have collectively agreed to sit until the business of the order paper is dispensed with.